What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Yogi Chris, captain of IMC Nation, and we're streaming to you today about the private moment and social presence. So, if you don't know what that is, stay tuned. I'll give you a brief synopsis, and we'll go from there. As I check the tech, okay, everything seems to be working. Okay, so people will see this later. You could skip ahead or just listen to this whole thing now. It'll be brief, and then as people join, maybe we can stream with some guys. I have about 30 minutes or less. So the private moment exercise is something that exists in the field of acting and acting training. And AZD learned the private moment exercise from his acting mentor, life mentor, the late great Manu Tupou, a prince of Fiji and a professional actor and acting coach. So he's bestowed that on us, and it was a while. I mean, we were learning from him for years, and I was learning from him for at least for many years, and or at least like 6 years or so before the private moment was introduced. It was talked about. It had been mentioned, his private moments that he did like 20 years earlier with Manu, but I'd never seen or heard of it, anybody doing it, witnessed it, heard of anybody doing it other than AZD, and he would sometimes name the other acting guys that were and girls that were in Manu's class, but I'd never seen it done. And he demonstrated it, a few minutes here, a few minutes there at like different camps, and we didn't really know what we were looking at, but and I guess that's part of the privilege of being the teacher, that he was able to teach us what was necessary so that we knew what we were looking at when we finally did do the private moment. And a private moment was just done today by Brett, who is one of these guys from TikTok, came through, discovered, successful businessman in his 40s, married, etc. Found these clips of AZD, decided to get involved after he communicated with Cupid, who's one of the guys that lives here, and has become heavily involved in just like 3 or 4 months. So, that's why we put this stuff out. And, maybe these streams help people too, especially guys that are in it, like Liam, who's on the Instagram right now, understand what's going on here. That's why I put out the content that I do, like the IMC Evolutions document. If you're on YouTube or the Facebook and you see the links that come with this stream, one of those is the IMC Evolutions document. It's free, and it's a list with some descriptions of the evolution of the trainings, and that'll give somebody from the outside may not be that concerned, but people that are interested in learning IMC stuff or already, like Liam, learning IMC stuff, it's really going to fill in tons of context of what you're learning, how it evolved, and just what's going on here. Because obviously people come to AZD for gain. It's transcended that, but he's still that guy with so many girlfriends, all beautiful, all in perfect order with him. And of course, breakups and stuff happen. I gotta say that for some reason every time I say that. But it's better relationships than everybody else out there. And it's a way of, I mean, as you start to examine it and put a magnifying glass on it, you think, well, it's the tattoos, or it's the fighter's attitude, or it's the charisma. He's just able to talk. He's so imaginative. You start like trying to figure it out, like, oh, it's that he learned pickup from Mystery, et cetera, et cetera. And as you look deeper, it's like, well, it's not just that. There's lots of guys that know Mystery. There's lots of charismatic individuals. There's lots of people that know evolutionary psychology and this and that. Why aren't they able to do what he's doing? And there's an internal work that happens, and it's a very cliche thing. People talk about working on themselves or whatever. I never really knew what that meant. People would say it. I didn't think they knew what they meant. They were just like, I mean, I guess if you're reading some book, like I got a book here and I'm learning, I'm learning from this book. Is that working on yourself? I guess. I mean, at the speed of a snail, a lot of people in the world are reading, and it's better than not reading for sure. So there's that. But like, people would talk about working on yourself in some kind of like you could do it in leaps and bounds. You could really have like tremendous growth working on yourself. And it didn't make sense to me. Like, for example, I wrestled at a high level in many years and trained very hard. I never recognized that I was working on myself. There was a lot of things in there I was destroying myself, or making myself brittle, as a, not just physically, I mean like mentally, like kind of like a military man. You get so conditioned to communicate a certain way, to work a certain way, to be a certain way, that you're strong in that lane, but outside of that lane, you're brittle, So the military man is very weak socially. He's brittle. Uh, so why was I saying that? Oh, working on yourself. And so probably the greatest work is going to be in like self-development and like what we would say in IMC Nation, and it was recognized through Hypnotica, who's a guy outside of IMC Nation, but he had said it. He was quoted as saying something like, game, pickup, dating, relationships, like developing yourself in that is the greatest self-development. And we've come to realize that all self-development and you developing yourself, developing your business, your character, your communication skills, whatever, developing your body, all development is for the reason of dating. You're trying to get the woman of your dreams, keep the woman of your dreams, get multiple women, do whatever you're doing, be a great father. Like that's part of the mating code. And that the greatest self-development was the dating development. Because if you develop yourself at like personal development or something, self-help, seminars, books, trainings, whatever, but you get worse with women, you'll ultimately drop off because the techniques and the skills you get, if it doesn't help you with women, you're just going to get frustrated. You'll do that for a little while till you learn what they have to learn, but they have a limit to what they can teach because all of that personal development, if you can't have good relationships with people that you want to be in relationships with, what's the point? It all boils down to relationships. But now IMC Nation, I mean, it was originally, the brand was called Seductive Instinct. So obviously Seductive Instinct is becoming a more natural male in the game of life. And so in studying AZD's brand of personal development and self-help or whatever it was so imbued with knowledge of dating and success in the mating game that it's easy to see. It's obvious to see it's a dating movement or whatever, but it's way beyond that. And you'll know that as you start to study his stuff more and more. And it's like you learn the philosophies, you get the sound bites of what to say, you get certain perspectives of women in relationships that just kind of changes your own movement. But you won't be able to do what he's doing because it's not just the information. You are working on yourself as you change your beliefs and everything, but you need something more. There's X factors, multiple. There's multiple X factors. And one of those is the private moment and all the Manu tech. There's a social presence that AZD has that we all develop as we do the private moment, which is an exercise of living privately with an audience of your peers. Live as if they're not there. What does that mean? Live, breathe, eat, drink. Just don't like piss and shit and jerk off or whatever, but like live in front of them. You could stretch, you could read a book, you could sit there and just stare into nowhere. There's actual exercises you can do with your imagination. It's a development of the private moment. Private moment is the first level of it. But that's from his lineage of acting. It's one of the 6 pillars that I named. One of the 6 main pillars of AZD's teachings is the Manu tech, the technology of Manu to Po. And like I said, the private moment exists in many acting circles. It's like a thing that you say to actors and they've heard of a private moment and maybe done a private moment. The way Manu did it, I don't know how unique it is because I'm not like a scholar of acting tech, but apparently it's pretty unique because he developed a whole system like any great does. Even I had my own system in yoga, 9th limb yoga system and all of the subsystems as part of that. And very similar, actually. I could make an analogy to how it's similar to Manu's tech. Although arguably he's much greater than me in that field than I was in the yoga field, but he was also much older and whatever. So there's other exercises that come after the private moment, creating with your mind, imagination, the memorizing of lines. Ultimately, it is acting tech. So you like do a scene, you'll act out a scene in front of your audience. But it starts with the private moment, which gives you a social presence and a sense of aesthetic. That means like a beauty. You get a sense for it, like how you hear is a sense, you taste is a sense, you see is a sense. You get a mental sense for beauty and aesthetics. Everybody can agree that the girl with the curves like that and her hair and her lips and everything, beautiful. That's not what I mean. I mean, can you gauge if her movement is beautiful? Can you gauge if her mindset is beautiful? If her communication is beautiful? And similar with guys, if their movement's beautiful, if their presentation of themselves is beautiful. It's an aesthetic. Beauty makes it sound so sexual, but it's essentially the same word as aesthetics. Aesthetics makes it sound more scientific and like not sexual. So we use the word aesthetics, but it has to kind of be defined because it's not, for most people, not a commonly used word. So you get a sense of aesthetics, and to see it, to be able to discern beauty and aesthetics, really, to have any discernment on any subject, really, you need a calmness and a presence, a relaxation and a presence. As Manu would say, tension is the enemy of the artist. So if you're tense in your mind, in your body, physically, in your breathing, which is physical, that's going to stop you from seeing the beauty. It's going to stop you from seeing reality as it is. The tension inside is distorting your perception. Relaxation, relax, 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 relax. You'll see more clearly. Most people, if they relax, first of all, they won't be able to because they'll get so skittish and antsy, they'll just have to get up and move. But if you practice and you get better at it, you'll relax, and then you start falling asleep. So you got to stay alert while you relax. How can you be so relaxed but not fall asleep? That it starts to whittle away the unnecessary tension, and you center on your alertness. You center in on your awareness so that you can be aware without tension. Because is anybody going to argue that awareness is a bad thing? You want to be more aware. And if you're tense, what I'm saying is your tension is distracting your awareness. Physical tension, mental tension, which would be like holding images in your mind that's making you physically tense, is pulling your awareness towards the tension, and you're not observing reality as much. So relaxation allows you to observe reality. And that's the only way you're going to be able to discern beauty. Otherwise, you're just discerning whatever's in your head. If you're not observing reality, what are you observing? Your mind. Your mind is between you and reality. And this is the brand of personal development that is IMC Nation. Maybe schools of psychology would say something similar. Maybe like Landmark or some shit would say something similar because they got a lot of their tech from Scientology. But what's up, Toto? The mind, your mind, is between you and reality. Your mind is observing reality. Here we go. Your senses are observing reality. They're not even observing. Your senses are sensing reality. Your eyeballs, your ears are sensing reality. Your mind is making sense of your senses. So your mind is perceiving your senses. Your mind's not perceiving reality. Your mind is perceiving whatever your senses bring in, and then coloring it based on its preconceptions. And let's say you expect to see what would be a good example? You pick up the phone, somebody calls you, and you expect it to be Jack, but it ends up being John. At first, you'll try to make the sound like Jack because you're expecting it to sound like Jack. It's delusional, really. You may even go on a few sentences talking with so-and-so and then realizing, oh, you're not even Jack. You're John. I thought you were Jack this whole time. That's because you're not just perceiving your senses. You're perceiving your senses mixed with your preconceptions about what it's supposed to be, beliefs, ideas, expectations. But your mind is making sense of your senses. So there's the world, your senses sense the world, your mind senses your senses, and none of that has to do with reality. Then there's you. You as a soul spirit behind your mind are observing your mind, but you're stuck to your mind. So you don't even know you have a mind. You just think you are your mind. But spiritual practices and spiritual practices will teach you, and you'll learn that you are not your mind. You can observe your mind, and as you get better and better, you start observing your mind is observing your senses, and you're like, "What the fuck? These sensations came in, and my mind made this whole story of it, but I'm not that. I can see my mind is making a story of something, and physically, it's affecting my body because your body reacts to your imagination and your thinking. So, what's up? Just follow. Oh, I think someone just followed. Wow. Yes. Yes, brother. This is the brand of personal development and character development of IMC Nation and AZD. And it's just one branch of it. It's the branch of spirituality, what I just said. I said that, I guess there's not well, then I would put that, oh, man. Okay, there needs to be another pillar. Okay. So anyway, that's spirituality. But then, now we go to the private moment and social presence, what I called this. Presence, alpha male, red pill, character development, whatever I'm calling this. Because what I just said is red pill. It's red pill spirituality. Then how to develop your presence, you can't just sit there and observe your mind all day. You become like Eckhart Tolle. You'll have presence, but do you have social presence? The guy's like a slug. He walks into a room, it's not like he's levitating and glowing and shit. His voice is so docile. Like nobody's gonna know him at a party unless they know him because he's famous or whatever. Interact with him, you start to perceive, wow, that guy is like so present. It brings me into presence. But I don't see him winning at the game of life. I see him being a slug and whatever. So he's hella present. Good for him. What I'm talking about is social presence, where you walk into a room and everybody turns. And it could be because you're loud. It could be because you're wearing loud colors. It could be because you walk in with 20 guys that all look dope. Okay, but I'm talking about you and your social presence. And social presence, not like your visual presence, not your auditory presence. I mean your presence, your social presence. So that is present as in like present time, but presence as in you're making an impact. You become present to other people's consciousness. They start really seeing you because of your social presence. You want to be the most socially present guy when your girl is around. That she should be perceiving you much more than all the other guys because of your social presence. You don't want her to have to force herself to pay attention to you out of respect and ignoring all these other more interesting things. You got to actually raise your social presence so that she just effortlessly keeps her attention on you without being a clown. You're not trying to be a court jester and like keep her attention. You're not a goof. So how do you do it? Well, the private moment. The private moment. It teaches you social presence. Not socializing. It doesn't teach you how to socialize or be social. It teaches you, yeah, what's up, woman? It teaches you aesthetics and relaxation in a social situation because you're doing a private moment exercise. It's one of the pillars of IMC Nation teachings. You have an audience. We have 30 guys that live here in Vegas. And so when guys come to town, there's always like 6 to 10 guys or whatever that's at the stream team house where we do our streaming. And so he does a private moment and he's got an audience of guys who are developing themselves very similar to how he is. So he appreciates that. If we had a bunch of weird ass LGBTQ, transgender, Africans here, it would be tough. We're from a different culture, different mindset, different background, different everything. The feedback of those individuals would be practically worthless. But have the feedback of people you respect, you like, you live with, you train with, then their feedback is in alignment with what you're trying to do with your development. So you show up, you do the private moment, which is live privately, but pretend like the audience isn't there. You know they're there, but just pretend. Don't, even if you look up and you look out towards the audience, just look through them. Act like they're not there. Act. Now act without trying to act. Just be yourself. Relax. Pretend they're not there and live. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, timer set. Do you. It's amazing what happens. First of all, you become so tense. One of the biggest mistakes guys make is they are working or they're living their life, they're doing, and then they quickly transition into doing their private moment exercise. Bro, you have a lot of pent up energy in you. You're so numb to your body that you don't even know how much energy. So why don't you spend half an hour, do some push-ups, some burpees, lay down, relax, breathe, get that energy out of you, and you'll be much more relaxed. Exert yourself and you'll be more relaxed in the private moment. You'll still get tense because your tension is psychological. I can say pretend like the audience isn't there, but you'll feel it. You'll feel their eyes, you'll feel their attention. They're analyzing you, and you'll start tightening up and jittering even. Practice multiple private moments, you learn to relax. And that's a social relaxation that's essential for dating. Essential. You don't want to be the tense guy with your girl. It's so repulsive, So how do you learn to socially relax? I mean, you could just put yourself in social environments and practice relaxing. It's going to take a long time, and it's going to be strenuous, and, whatever. Or you could do private moments. And private moments will make you so much more calm and present in social situations so that you can actually see what's going on. Then add to it the feedback from the audience when you're done, and you start to get glimpses into how you live, how you breathe, how you move that you were not aware of because you're with you every day. So you kind of lose perspective of yourself. Look in the mirror and notice how you hold your face. Speak into a camera or whatever. a recorder and play it back and listen to how you sound. You've lost perspective on how you sound and how you look and everything. Watch a video of you exercising and you see your form. You've lost perspective of your form. So you've lost perspective of yourself socially. Now, it's not like the guys are giving feedback on you socially, but it will give you very valuable feedback about who you are as a man, your character, and just insights that you're not seeing. It's their insights, but about you. It's very, very cool. Do multiple private moments, and you really start to calibrate your awareness about who you are to the world. When you're not trying to be someone to the world, when you just live, when you just be, when you live, how does the world register you? What are you to the world if you're just being and not trying to be anything? That you actually are a character. Most people are very boring, very bland, and there ain't shit to say about their presence. Most of you. And as you start developing, and especially remember, the greatest personal development is dating for men, for women too, because that's where everybody's the most fucked up. I'm just not talking about coaching women right now. I will in a second. But right now I'm saying, so the man, he's going for, I forgot my point. So let's just go to women. One of my goals with my women and whatever new women come is for them to be able to do private moments. I'm very interested in that. I just want to see it, even if it's just once or twice. That's so cool because it can't just be me and the girl, because my feedback would be, it's too biased. She cares too much about my opinion that what I say is, I'm not going to be able to be real and honest with her on the level that she needs to hear. We need a group. And it can't just be two, like me and another girl and her, because honestly, I think it needs to be four. I think it needs to be four girls. But at least three girls, one doing it and two observing with me. And they got to be at the level, like I was saying, AZD had to educate us so that we knew how to even perceive the private moment, let alone do it. So I need girls at a certain level that I can educate them. That doesn't mean they're brilliant. That just means they're compliant. Because, shit, interacting with me in the long term is tough. I'm intense. And I'm highly distracted by business. So the girl, what's most attractive to me is a girl that just listens and obeys. And that doesn't mean she's a robot or a zombie or a slave. That's not what I mean. Like, listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. I'm not opening my mouth and saying words out my ass. I'm just not. You are. That's why you think I am, because you are, right? So a girl that can listen with that respect, I can teach her. And then, obviously beautiful and whatever else qualities about women. So I'd love to do that because then there would be a lot more understanding about my process. My process learned from AZD. I don't do the same things as him, but through practicing his movements and motions, including actions and things to do, I've gained an awareness of, oh, I have a process too. And then seeing how the process, it develops essentially as an imagination, where you impose your imagination on the world around you as you live, so that it's not, even if it's as simple as like the Stoics would say, write your own story. Like whatever it's the story you tell yourself. If you don't like what's happening, change the story you're telling yourself. That happens in the imagination. You don't have to change the outside. Change what the outside means to you. And what it means to you is in your imagination. So now the process is interpreting and reinterpreting your whole existence. It sounds like a lot of work. It is to learn how to do it. But at the end of the day, you're already doing it. You are not observing reality. You're observing your mind. And your mind is processing the senses and creating a reality for you to observe. You're not observing reality as it is. So you already are telling yourself a story that's different than what is. Just let that sink in. You are perceiving the world through your interpretation of it, not the world itself. How do you perceive the world itself? You got to relax and stay alert. Relaxation and alertness at the same time. Plus the right ideas. But that's at the ultimate level of relaxation, you let go of your ideas. So relaxation and alertness. Okay? And that's going to raise your social presence. And now how do you do a private moment? You get into an IMC base or you come to Vegas and do a private moment. Yes, glad to see you too. Okay? So guys, real briefly, it starts with the daily class. Get on the daily class. If you don't know what that is, you can DM the account or whatever, and I'll tell you about it. Daily class is $97 a month. It's about to go up to $147 a month. That's daily lecture with a lot of master. It's really more mastermind, that class is. Then there's advanced programs. If you're on the daily class, you should join advanced programs. But it sells itself. I don't even need to sell it. You should know that there are advanced programs that deal with different subjects that will expand you more than spend 10 years, $100,000 in personal development, and you'll never get this far. You'll learn a bunch of tricks and you'll make some quote friends, but you'll still be miserable at dating, miserable at life, living life through a bunch of self-help tricks. That's not what this is. This is actually removing all the tricks so that you can find you. Seductive instinct. Right? And then yeah, there's all kinds of offerings. Residency, you can come live here with AZD. I live with AZD, the founder of IMC Nation. If you didn't know, I don't know if I introduced that. Founder of IMC Nation. You watch these accounts because of IMC Nation clips. The bald guy with all the tattoos, spitting wisdom, right? That's AZD. I live with him, founded IMC Nation. I'm captain of IMC Nation, Captain Yogi Chris, right? I got a certificate. And this is the progression. So you could come and live here. Either live at the base or just move to Las Vegas and move into one of our bases or get your own house. And then you'd be around and private moments become accessible to you because it's an ingredient to social presence that you won't get anywhere else. Live and die all your years, you'll never have it. And that's pathetic. Once you do the private moment a few times and you are like, whoa, I'm in a completely different matrix now in the same matrix, then you will, with compassion, with sympathy, empathy, fucking sadness, whatever, look down on everybody who doesn't do it because you are so stuck in the tensions of your mind that you're not even living, bro. You are the zombie. So when I say the women need to listen, I'm actually de-zombifying them. They are zombies. And anytime the woman stops listening to me, she was listening, she stops listening, she's become infected by zombie viruses. And she's becoming a zombie again. An unconscious, wandering, roaming zombie. Most men and women are that. So, private moment. All right, everybody, I'm Yogi Chris. This is IMC Nation Stream. Be the best, fuck the rest. Praise the Lord. Jay Guru Dev.